Rough night for Air Force in a 49-42 loss after a 35-point second-half comeback. In the first quarter, Chris Maverick got on the board with an 11-yard touchdown run. He also had a 13-yard touchdown run to end the first quarter. Army took a 14-7 lead. Then down up 21-7 with 2:37 to go in the second quarter. James returned a fumble, 83 yards, to give Army a 28-7 advantage. But as you take a look closely on the replay, and this was not looked at in the live broadcast, Caden James's knee actually is down, and that play should have been overturned, and it should not have been a return for a touchdown. So Army gets the big swing in momentum. Air Force comes out in the third quarter, but Army piles it on. 56-yard touchdown pass to Kevin Hart, 76-yard pass from Cookie Johnson, and at that point it was 42-14. But back came Air Force. Hector Iona's 72-yard TD run. Eli Babbage was terrific tonight with a 12-yard touchdown run. Air Force would score again late in the fourth quarter to make it 42-35. Army would tack on another touchdown before Air Force would eventually end up losing this game 49-42. But that was a questionable return by Caden James. It actually ended up being the play of the game, according to our EA Sports broadcasting partner. Team stats: 21 first downs for Air Force, but were outgained 537-497. Both teams were very good running and passing the football. Army especially 17 of 28. Both teams good on third downs. Air Force was 2 of 3 on fourth down, but could not convert that last fourth down that they needed. They missed out on one trip in the red zone. That was that option fumble that we just showed. Penalties were quiet, 3 for 45 and 3 for 30. And Air Force had the ball for 18 minutes and 36 seconds. Both teams punted 3 times. Player stats from tonight's game. Eli Babbage, 19 of 30, throwing 279, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, but was sacked 4 times. For Army, Saracen was 17 of 28, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 23.8 per catch for Saracen's receivers. Chris Maverick, a quiet night, 15 carries, 49 yards, and 2 scores. Quincy Lindgren had 2 carries for 53 yards on an option in the first quarter and a fumble for Saracen. For Air Force, look at this balance: 20 carries, 78 yards, and a score for Babbage, 16 carries, 52 yards, and a score for Rebel, and 5 carries, 74 yards, and a score for Hector Iona. Good running tonight from Babbage and the rest of Air Force. Caleb Winchell, 4 catches, 119 yards, and a score, leading the Air Force receivers. For Army, 4 catches, 135 yards, and a score for Cookie Johnson, 3 for 51 and a score for Dwayne Spain, and 3 for 145 and 2 scores for Kevin Hart, who was an absolute beast tonight. Blocking, Kevin Hart had a pancake, Jack Ripper allowed a sack, Chris Maverick allowed a sack, and Ray Reese-Porter allowed a sack. For Air Force, 2 sacks allowed by Dwight Scott and 1 sack allowed by Jack Watkins. Defensively, for Air Force, 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 1 interception for Curtis Dawson, the free safety. He also had a pass deflection to his name, so Curtis Dawson, his best performance in the Rookie Bowls. And then further down the line, Christian Timmons, who was highlighted before the game, had 6 tackles. For Army's defense, Kofi Evans, 15 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. Arnold Wolf had 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and half a sack. Vince Morrison, 4 tackles for loss, half a sack, 7 tackles. And Adumika, who had a terrific game last week, just 3 tackles on the night. 2 pass deflections for Coco Smith. That Army defense played pretty well up until the second half, or I should say in the first half. James Norris, 5 tackles, a tackle for loss, and an interception, and a pass deflection from the cornerback position. So a good night for Norris. And finally, Caden James, 4 tackles, a tackle for loss. 1 fumble recovery and 1 defensive touchdown. As we said, controversy. Kicking, Army was 0 for 2, 7 of 7 on extra points, however. Both field goals were missed from beyond 50 yards. For Air Force, Fairbanks was 0 for 1, 6 for 6 on extra point, and his field goal was missed from over 50 yards. Punting, Fairbanks 3 punts with a net of 36.6 and a long of 44. For Army, 3 punts with a net of just 28.3 and a long of 42. Kick returns, Johnson averaged 25 yards per return. For Air Force, Winchell averaged 19, Rocknow averaged 18, so Cookie Johnson outbeat him in that. Punt return yards, Winchell just 3.5, while Johnson was 5.3. 49-42 in an absolute thriller to end the rookie campaign here from Dallas.